You might remember Kristen Alberts from a few videos ago. She made a video where she went into estranged parents group chats and gave us a first-hand look at what they've been saying and what they say, how they act, who they are. She has since made a couple more videos and I was not going to touch them, but I've had a couple of people in my comments ask about them and whether or not I'd take a look at them. So that's what we're doing today. First video is called Reasons for No Contact, Parents versus Children, and Silent Parents, Enablers, Victims, or Accomplices. I'll leave a link to her channel pinned in the comments. She's the one doing a lot of this work and it's all firsthand. So if you're interested in the content that she makes, if you find it insightful or relaxing or in some way just validating, I would consider maybe following her, subscribing, and checking out what she makes in the future.
Hi everyone, I am Kristen Alberts and I am a trauma counselor specializing in recovery from familial abuse. Let's just get this out of the way first as always. No contact is never a first resort. It doesn't happen overnight and it is never ever over something trivial or petty or ridiculous, despite what the estranged parents I'm about to tell you about want you to believe.
I want to pause it there. I have not seen this video, and so I might make the mistake of saying something she's going to say before she says it, and I'm sure she's going to go way more in depth and have much more to say, but I have comments, right? So sometimes we look for tells in people in the same way with Diane, right? Where she goes, I'm not even that political, but drops all these like little hints at the things that she's politicized in her own life. If the parent of an estrangement tells you that it was the first thing that happened, it was the first resort, they didn't try counseling, they didn't try talking to them, they didn't try anything other than just, oh, my parents are mean to me, I'm going to stop talking to them. There's a lot of red flags there. It is so incredibly rare. I don't think we've seen a single case where estrangement was the first resort. Now is the first time the parent is like, okay, maybe something's going on here. Sure, but that's either their inability to listen or their unwillingness to take their children seriously. Like, how many times have we looked at kids being like, you're not going to be able to see your grandkids. And the grandparents are like, well, you can't do that. And then it happens. They're like, whoa, didn't see that coming.
After spending a ton of time amidst the battles and support groups for both the parents of estranged children and for the adult children of toxic parents, the biggest battle by far is over the reason for no contact. The members of the parent groups start by claiming that their children just up and left overnight for nothing and without warning. They swear blindly that they have no idea why their children would do such a thing and that they have tried everything they can to figure out their children's reasons for estranging, but to no avail.
They really just have no idea why their kids left, and they've tried everything except maybe listening or asking their children. Or when they do ask, they don't believe. That's, again, I brought this point up so many times. It's so hard to have to deal with people, let alone parents, who ask you questions they don't believe the answers to. Like, I don't know what you want from me at that point. I don't.
Here are some quotes I've collected. My daughter just told me out of the blue that she's had enough and is cutting all contact. Enough of what? What the hell is this? My son sent a message saying that he can't see me anymore. I am completely baffled. I am dumbfounded. There is no reason for my daughter to do this to me. Can someone please explain this to me? I keep searching and begging for my daughter to give me a reason, but she refuses. How the hell did this happen? If someone would tell me, I would give you all my worldly possessions, anything you wanted. We beg and plead for a reason, but they never give us one. I'm completely heartbroken. I just want my children and my grandchildren back. Once they've all agreed that their heartless children will never give them a reason, the next step is to find one on their own. I was really hoping for at least a glimmer of self-reflection here. Some hope of these parents finding and accepting a smidgen of responsibility for the mess they caused. But I was and remain terribly disappointed.
I'm afraid that the parents who managed to go, what could I have done? / what did I do? Don't ever finish that thought. They'll, what could I have done? What did I do that was so bad that you had to leave? I can't think of anything. So there must have been something or someone else. Is there a very small percentage of people whose children have joined a cult? Yes. Is there a very small percentage of people whose children may just be irrational? Sure. These parents, like any other group of people, are going to stagger themselves between people who are there for the right reasons, all the way down to people who are there for the wrong reasons. Does it seem to be bottom heavy? Yes. But that's because when the right people come in, they're pushed out by the wrong people. And we saw it last time, right? When she went into the group chats, anytime someone would come in and they weren't immediately like anti-kids, they would either be suspected of being one of the kids, or they would be like, oh, you're in the wrong place. This is a place for people whose kids have done them bad. And so like people aren't there for help. They're there to make themselves feel better, which I guess is a type of help. Just not one that helps anyone else.
I'm surprised, but disappointed nonetheless. Brace yourselves. I said something or other about her new tattoo and she said, that's it, I'm done.
I really don't want to stop and talk about every single one of these. They're all going to be connected. I said something about her tattoo and she left. You said something critical about them. Was it the first time you criticized them? Probably not. Was not going to be the last time unless they left. So they left.
And my daughter is just jealous that I have a better relationship with her children than she does. I was told I wasn't wanted because I snored. Can you imagine that? I don't even snore. She was the eldest and hated her little brothers because she wasn't the center of attention anymore. I remarried and she just doesn't like to see me happy. My son has a jealous wife. Many women can't handle the fact that their husbands love their moms.
Too many of these comments by the parents are centered around themselves. He's married now and his wife is jealous of how much he loves his mom. So he's cutting me off is so weird. I almost just don't even want to touch that. I don't understand the process of this is wild. It was like 2 days ago. We're not even live. Like I'm not live. I don't have a Twitch chat right now. It's just me and you again. Like 2 days ago, I saw a TikTok of a woman and her son and the caption said something like, born to be your lover, forced to be your mom. And I listen, I hope it's a joke. Weird joke to make, but I hope it's a joke. But now, like, the more I see things like this, I'm just like, why are you treating your children like romantic partners? Like, why are you upset when they find other people to love? I don't get it. I don't understand it. I really don't. There were a couple more in here. Oh, they said I snore, but I don't even snore. It's just ridiculous. No one in their right mind would take that person's story and believe them. There's no way. There's another one that went, she's jealous that I have a better relationship with my grandchildren than she does. That makes it sound, and we just don't have that much information, but going off of what she said last time, what Kirsten said last time, the story of like the grandparent giving the kid juice despite them being allergic to it, that makes it sound like this grandparent gets to be the fun grandparent, right? Like they get to give them snacks and candy and soda and all these things that they're not supposed to have. So they love me more. You've told me not to give them these foods, but they love it. I get it. I do. Like as a grandparent, you want to just be loved by your grandkids. But on some level, you have to be an extension of their parents. You're not their parents, but you have to respect the boundaries their parents have set. You have to enforce them. And then you get to be the grandparent. From then you get to be fun.
It's because I put cream in our dinner one night and cooked the chicken he hated.
Is he lactose intolerant?
It's because they don't want to take care of us when they're old, so they cut us off now. We spoiled and coddled them too much. They simply didn't learn to have respect for parents the same way we did. They are just evil children in this world. We don't get to decide what nature...
I have something to say for every single one of these points. Every single one, without fail, there's something for me to say. But if I did that, we'd be here for the next 2 hours. So, if there's any of these points you would like to talk about specifically, the comment section is always super helpful down below, or you can come on her videos. Again, like I have something to say for each and every one of these points, but they've been repeated for the most part. There's not a new one here. They don't want to take care of us when we're old. It's not their job to. And if they're willing to leave you, you probably didn't take care of them when they were young. Again, it is so hard to leave behind good parents. And if you are good enough to your children, they will find a way to pay you back. We coddled them too much. You were so nice to them that they had to cut you off. No, Dad. No, Mom. Please stop being so nice to me. I have to go. Congrats. You made a dumb argument.
It gives to us. We worked our rear ends off to raise privileged kids. Now they earn more money than we ever did for doing less work. They just don't have the same values we do. This was a new one even for me. It's because we only have a couple of kids. In the old days, people had as many as 20 kids, most of whom moved and colonized in the West or joined the circus and were never heard from again. The ones that stayed had similar personalities to their parents, so they got along. It's just the natural order of things. We should actually be proud that we raised independent kids. Once these parents have patted themselves and each other on the back for decoding their children's reasons, it occurs to them that none of these reasons are very fair. Because let's face it, when taken out of this much context with no backstory and zero information or details, these reasons do seem petty and ridiculous.
Yes, I will say that, oh, my parent snores. I cannot keep them in my life. Seems ridiculous. And we understand fully that that is not an entire story. It cannot be.
So what happens next is obvious. They get angry and fast. Seriously, I have never seen anyone go from baffled, dumbfounded, begging, and heartbroken to pissed this quickly.
And this goes all the way back to just people showing you who they are if you let them talk long enough. They find excuses and excuses and excuses and excuses, and eventually that just leads to them being mad. So who they are when they're mad is a good example of who their kids had to see for the majority of their life. Were they mad all the time? No. But when you're mad enough to show us who you are in public, you're probably pretty calm being that person in private.
You can't make this shit up. The pettiness in them is unbelievable. You want to know the reason? I will tell you the reason. Their lives are failures. Treating us this way makes them feel better about being this pathetic. They enjoy being this sick. It's a fad. Everyone needs to be in the trauma club. They have no remorse or empathy, just like psychopaths. They are self-righteous, entitled, mean, lazy, and batshit crazy. I'm glad my daughter can't have children. She'll just use those kids to hurt me.
That is such a gross thought to have. I'm glad my daughter can't have children. She'll just use those kids to hurt me. It's disgusting. I'm glad that person can't be a grandparent. That person shouldn't have been a parent. If you're willing to say things that are this disgusting because you're a little mad, I cannot trust you to be a good parent. A person. I cannot trust you to be a good person.
They deserve to be devastated, ruined, and living under a bridge. They're not worthy to be in my life. My daughter has nothing I want. Not her love, not her company, not her time.
The same people that are going, they're not worthy enough to be in my life, are the people that are going, oh, they're spoiled brats. They think they're too good for us.
It makes no sense to waste another second with her. Our kids will pay for what they did. Their complaints are always so petty and ridiculous. They can pull any little thing out of a hat, and you're to blame for their shit life and will be crucified forever for the most normal things. My only hope right now is for my son's children to do to him what he's done to me.
Ew.
Get rid of them. They are
Again, like, how do you have it in you to be this vindictive? I don't get it. I don't get the seeking of revenge against your own child. For what? For wanting a life outside of you? For not accepting what you probably accepted from your parents? How gross is that? How bad of a person do you have to be? It feels unfair to be one of the people from the generation to where we go, oh yeah, that's bad. Can't do that. It's such a job. It is such a job. It is so much work and so much tiring, exhausting work that will never be paid back. To just not be who our parents were. So many of us have been taught who to be from our parents. And it's not easy enough to just not do what they did. We have to entirely unlearn it. So many of us had physically abusive parents, and growing up had our own anger issues and had to just hope to God we burned out by the time we got big enough to do anything to anyone. Like, we have to do such a good job, such a job of not being who we were taught to be for the sake of people that don't exist. For the sake of people we don't have to meet, for the sake of our children that we don't have and probably won't. It has to be so aggravating to work so hard at a job that will never acknowledge you. And yet it's being done by all of us. And during so, you have to take so much criticism from your parents who you try to get away from. Why is it our generation that has to be the good people? Why couldn't it be in the next one? Why couldn't we also just be a waste of space? Why couldn't we also just have been stupid and abusive and ignorant? Why couldn't we be dumb enough to be happy? For as much as these estranged parents just like annoy me, I would love to be one of them. I would love to be dumb and ignorant and to just be so convinced that the world around me is anything but a consequence of me. Instead, so many of us have self-awareness, and to the point where it's detrimental. To the point where it's not even self-awareness anymore. It's just criticism of ourselves. Isn't that so stupid? How did I manage to do this? How did I manage to just start ranting? I'm 4 minutes into the YouTube video. I've been recording for 46 minutes.
Ungrateful vermin and miserable excuses for human beings. If I see my son, I would kick him in the balls. What a little piece of shit he turned out to be. Their children will
Oh, my son left me, and if I ever saw him again, I would physically abuse him. Wonder why he left. Again, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna just, okay, stick with me. I'm gonna try not to pause the video for a while because I have a comment for every single thing. I really do. I really do. That's the whole point of me making videos.
I'll do it to them, and I can't wait. I refer to myself as rent a uterus, and I'm glad the lease is up. To hell with them. Living our lives is the best revenge.
I refer to myself as rented uterus, and I'm glad the lease is up. These are people that should not have been parents. I don't know how else to put it. Becoming a parent has to be a selfless act in the most selfish way. You have to be willing to raise your child to go out into the world and become who they are supposed to be while taking the responsibility of that person. You have to be willing to let your child go at 20, 25, 30, whatever it is. And if they're a great person, you got to go, cool, I made that. I raised that person. But if they're a bad person, you have to take that same responsibility. And if there's someone who is smart enough to see who you are and not want you in their life, you have to take that same responsibility and take it. Take it. Wow. I raised someone smart enough to not do to their kids what I may have accidentally done to them and what may have accidentally been done to me.
And of course, no list of quotes would be complete without the old, my child was brainwashed by the disgusting husband/wife, and the epidemic that is social media and the TikTok teaching all these brats that they have rights.
This was less than 24 hours ago. Elon Musk's estranged daughter Vivian doesn't see future in the United States after Donald Trump's presidential win. And then Elon goes, the woke mind virus killed my son. These are who these people are. They're not smart. They have money. There's a big difference there. You can say these people aren't meant to be taken seriously, but they have too much money and too much power that you have to take them seriously. And they have too much influence. They have too much influence. They have too much influence. And people like that validate people like the breakdancing dad or Diane. Or we just saw the video of Diane where she pulled up a picture of Elon Musk and was like, even they're estranged parents. The example we have from less than 24 hours ago is Elon Musk calling her daughter dead because she wants to leave the country.
If you look on the groups for the adult children, it should come as no surprise that you will find a very, very different version of events. Not only are these groups filled with the adult children's very valid, very legitimate, very frightening reasons for going no contact, they are filled with the numerous ways they tried to make their reasons clear to their parents long before no contact was even a consideration. They have explained more times and in more ways that they can count. They try to compromise and negotiate. They beg and they plead. They organize talks and discussions, meetings, interventions. When none of that works, they write letters and they send emails detailing again exactly how their parents are hurting them and how and why it needs to stop. They give examples, they cite events, they reference scenarios, they produce evidence, receipts, records, screenshots, and timestamps. They propose counseling, they try boundaries, low contact, grey rocking, and mediation. And when they've run out of things to try, they try them all over again. What may surprise you is that most of the time, none of these adult children's reasons for going no contact have anything to do with what their parents put them through as children. They are far more preoccupied with what their parents are doing to their lives now. Here are some of their stories. My mom won't stop telling everyone that I am broke and being abused by my husband. Nothing could be further from the truth. We do very well for a living and are very happily married. My siblings are now dropping in unannounced to check if I have food or if I've been crying or if I have bruises. Now my husband's work has called. I am terrified he's going to lose his job over this. I have begged my mom to stop this, but she just ignores me or calls me a liar. This woman says, I have to supervise my kids' visits with my parents because they keep telling them that I'm a bad mother when I'm not there. I don't know why they would do this, and they've told me they won't stop. My father yelled at me for over an hour saying how stupid and heartless I am for hurting my mother this way. Now they're threatening to call Child Protective Services unless I let him come get my children. This woman says, I just can't do this anymore. She keeps arriving on my doorstep at all hours of the day. I work from home, so she knows I'm there. The moment she walks in, it is non-stop. I look disgusting. My house is a dump. When am I going to do my laundry? Have I paid my electrician? Do I know that I'm setting a bad example for my children? That I'm a revolting slob and that my husband will leave me if I don't get my act together? There may have been a few toys lying around, sure, but I promise you my life looks nothing like my mother describes it. I don't know what more I can do to get her to see that things are fine.
There's a few here that I just don't understand. And if you do and you want to throw them in the comments as to why the parents are like this, that'd be really helpful. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, what part of you as a parent? What part of you as a parent is so willing to start a rumor about your daughter being abused and broke without any sort of evidence? Because, like, the thing is, that's such a believable thing. Because you want to believe, you want to help people. Why would somebody make that up? If a friend of mine came to me and said, hey, our other mutual friend is being abused by their partner, I would check in. I would show up. Your willingness to make that up is just wild to me. I don't know. I don't know what that is, because it doesn't seem like, I can't be like, oh, the parent just wants attention here. Like, do they? What does a parent want? Does a parent not like how happy they are? Does the parent not like that they have more money? Does the parent not like the partner? Like, what is happening? If your children as a collective do not show any signs of you being a bad mother, and don't ever say it to you, but their grandmother, your mother, says that they say they do, I feel like the grandmother is asking questions that are too leading. Like, the grandmother is maybe feeding them something that the mother normally wouldn't, and be like, oh, your mom doesn't do this for you, right? And the kids go, no, she doesn't. And so he goes, oh, wow. Your mom makes you starve? And it's stuff like that, which is really gross to me. I don't know how CPS would handle that, but they would never see the grandparents again. I would not let that happen. I understand there's grandparents' rights. Again, super lucky to not have kids and to not even want children. Like, I have no desire for kids, and I feel very lucky. And that's so out of your control. Like, how do you control rumors that your mother is spreading?
This woman says, my mother was nice to my daughter when she was little, but lately I've noticed that she has started to treat her the same way she treated me. She nitpicks her outfits, comments on her food, and tells her she's getting fat.
Oh, again, I'm trying not to stop too much. You want to criticize me? That's fine. The second you call my daughter, the second you give my child an eating disorder, you're catching a knee to your face. You just are. I'm throwing you. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if your hip is displaced. I'll pop it back in. No, you don't do that to anyone, especially not to somebody's kids.
Every time my daughter disagrees with her, my mother calls her stupid or useless. She plays favorites with the other grandchildren and has even started giving some of my daughter's toys away to her baby cousin.
No.
She tells her things about sex and periods and other things that she isn't ready for. I've begged her to stop, but she just rolls her eyes and smirks. I cannot let this go on.
The only way to stop that grandparent is to remove your child from them. And they're going to cause a scene, and they're going to go, didn't know why that happened, but that's the only way to do that, and you have to keep your children safe. Which sucks, because for all we know, the kid, that's like their only form of childcare.
This woman says, I've been noticing that some things in my house and closets had gone missing or had been rearranged. I thought I was going crazy until my neighbor told me that my mother had been coming into my house while I was at work. My mother denied it, but I did put an extra lock on my front door. Now she is banging on my door and windows and blowing up my phone, demanding to know why she can't get in. Here's one from a woman. My father...
What a way to just out yourself. No, that wasn't me. Immediately, hey, why can't I get in?
Promised me he would be much more careful with my daughter, so I allowed her to spend the night at my parents' house. This morning, my daughter told me that when they went to bed, Grandma and Granddad were very drunk and got naked in the pool and woke her up to go swimming with them. My daughter can't swim. I confronted my parents, and I haven't stopped getting nasty messages about how childish and pathetic I am ever since. As you can see, not one of these reasons is remotely trivial, petty, ridiculous, and if you are no contact or you're considering it, you will know that these stories and events and countless other like it are just at the very tip of the iceberg. Neither are these events recent happenings. The stalking, intimidation, harassment, and threats to these adult children's homes, spouses, jobs, not to mention their own children, have been happening for years, if not decades. And so have their children's pleas for their parents to stop, to get help, to find a way to compromise, understand, or at the very least listen to reason. The fact that these parents have put their children and grandchildren through living hell and then turn around and swear that there was no reason to estrange or that their reasons were trivial or petty by picking something as ridiculous as jealousy or tattoos simply so that they could say they had nothing to do with it is nothing short of sickening. What makes this whole sorry mess even sicker is how these parents want sympathy after what they've done. These parents tried to destroy their children's lives. No contact was the only way to stop them, and these parents had the audacity to wail that they're hurt, bewildered, and heartbroken. And they're not even finished. As if invalidating, trivializing, mocking, and belittling their children's pain wasn't enough, These parents keep twisting their knives. While their children pick up the pieces that have been shattered by their own parents, their parents launch smear campaigns that are as vicious as they are untrue. They tell everyone who will listen that their children are deranged, violent, and insane, that they are on drugs or begging for money, that they have diseases and mental disorders, that they are being abused by their spouses, that they are neglecting and abusing their children, and that their grandchildren are suffering at the hands of selfish brats who have torn their families apart for no reason. Now, is this the behavior of people who are heartbroken and just want their children and grandchildren back? No, it's not. This is not the behavior of people who want to reconcile. This is the behavior of people who want to retaliate. They want revenge, and they go after it by ruining their children's reputations, smearing their characters, threatening their livelihoods, and promising to have their children taken away from them. Well, I have a few reasons as to why toxic parents bury their heads in the sand or generally run screaming for the toxic hills they've decided to die on, of my own to share with you. The first is that a reason is actionable. It means that something can be done about it. A reason spells out exactly what the problem is and how it can be fixed. Toxic parents have no intention of doing or fixing anything about their appalling behavior, so it makes sense that they would deny that a reason exists. My second reason toxic parents cower from a reason is that without one, it becomes perfectly acceptable to guess. Because having no reason means that they can go ahead and invent one. Their husbands brainwash their daughters, wives poison their sons' minds, drugs, social media, insanity, you name it. If they can get out of taking accountability for their revolting behavior, they will. Without an actual reason, they can lay blame wherever they damn well please, and in true toxic style, they will lay the blame anywhere other than where it belongs. The third reason is the one that I think carries the most weight. It's that they simply don't care. They don't attach any value or even any significance to their children's feelings or opinions. They never have, which is why they never take them seriously, which is why they never see no contact coming, and why they have such vicious and unbelievably juvenile reactions to it when it happens. Toxic parents have parenting backwards. They have children to meet the parents' needs, not the other way around. Children have no business having feelings and opinions, let alone any right to think that their children may be in the wrong, and they certainly don't have any right to tell them what to do. So when the shit hits the fan, their sole focus is getting their hierarchies back in order, with them at the top and their children way at the bottom, venerating and revering and obediently taking orders just how their parents like it. Our goals are completely different. The children's goal is a healthy, loving, trusting relationship. The parents' goal is power, control, and therefore the right to do and say anything they please to the children they put here and who therefore owe them their reverence and obedience, no matter how toxic, destructive, or dangerous their orders get. If these goals can't align, then neither can the relationship. And if these parents keep destroying any hope of these goals ever aligning by hurling threats, going on smear campaigns, and throwing tantrums like 2-year-olds instead of addressing their problems like adults, then no contact is not a resort or even a decision. It's a result. Right. Please join my Patreon, where you can chat to me and see more of my work, patreon.com/Kristen Albert. The link is in the description. See you soon.
She did a really good job ending that video, and she made a lot of really good points. And so I'm not going to touch on them. She and I aren't arguing. I'm agreeing with her. I'm going to make one point and I'm going to get you all out of here. I think as humans, we all seek some sort of validation. And as we get older, we just have to make a better choice of who we take that validation from. When we're young, it's really, really hard not to just want to be liked by everyone, including our parents. And when we're older, what I hope happens is that we stop caring too much about strangers and their opinions of us, and we care about the opinions of our friends, our partners, and our parents, our grandparents, our family as a whole. And it's really hard to then let go of those, no matter what they are. Because when you care so much about a person, whether or not they're a good person and whether or not they have good opinions about you or the world, you care about their opinions and they affect you. It is too hard to put yourself in a position where you can take criticism from your parents and take it without it affecting you negatively. There are plenty of people I've met with really good parents who are criticized by their parents, who nod their head, end up agreeing, and become better people because of it. That's great, but that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about these parents who did a terrible job of either breaking a cycle they were thrust into or creating and raising children that they are willing to treat as people. And that's what a lot of this is. A lot of this is my child is becoming a person and I don't like that. I would rather they just be my child and nothing else. It is not your job to explain to anyone else why you have the relationship with your parents that you have, whether it's good or whether it's bad. And I hope that you find validation in knowing that you're not alone. And though the people around you may not believe you for whatever reason, maybe your parents got to them first, and your parents are never going to believe you, I hope you know that there's community out there, whether it's in this comment section, whether it's in Kirsten's, whether it's in another one, whether it's on Reddit, whether it's on Facebook, wherever it is, you are not alone. Which then leads into the point that regardless of how not alone you are, it is incredibly easy to feel lonely. I don't know how to fix that. And I don't think I'll ever be smart enough to figure that out. I was going to put both of her videos into one video here, but I've been going for over an hour, so I think I'm going to cut it into two. I do a good job of not speaking about things that I don't know anything about, while also trying to keep the things I want to keep private. I'm rambling, and I'm going to cut that all completely out. If you ever want to hear any of these ramblings, I do just not cut myself off on stream. So that's a fun place to be sometimes. It's pretty, but I'm going to cut it out here and then we'll move on to the next video. So I'll see you in like 14 seconds for a new intro. You don't have to say goodbye to me. You don't have to say goodbye to Toast because she's in the other room. You don't have to say goodbye to each other, but take care of each other. Take care of yourself first.